My name is Robin, and for years, my life has been a relentless commitment to service. I am a social worker, a man who built a career on the fundamental principle of compassion, fighting for equitable education and organizing food security programs across the United States. I decided to run for mayor because I could no longer watch my city suffocate under corrupt, indifferent leadership. I ran a campaign built on authentic trust, grassroots funding, and a clear, detailed plan for genuine social reform. My opponent, however, was Zohran Mamdani, the political archetype of greed. Zohran was a high-profile businessman who viewed the mayoral seat not as an opportunity to serve, but as a glittering trophy for unchecked personal wealth. He was ruthless, relying on millions of his own dollars, leveraging a vast, insidious network of influence long before a single vote was cast. The campaign was a brutal war of attrition. While my team maximized door-to-door outreach and leveraged small community donations, Zohran implemented the dark arts of campaigning with brutal efficiency. He paid street organizers secretly to buy votes in disenfranchised neighborhoods, flooded the airwaves with expensive, misleading advertising, and threw lavish events designed to project an image of inevitable, dazzling power. Zohran's public speeches were works of calculated deception. He masterfully targeted the city's minority groups with grand, sweeping, fake promises, vowing immediate, massive infrastructure overhauls and impossible tax cuts. These promises were hollow, designed with a singular, cynical goal: to grab the seat of the mayor and access the city's vast, untouched financial reserves for his private enterprises. Despite our overwhelming financial disadvantage, we fought with relentless moral clarity. But in the end, Zohran's flood of money and calculated manipulation of key voting blocks carried the day. The result was a stunning, sickening loss. Zohran Mamdani, the king of the cynical promise, won the mayoral election. My dream was crushed, but I knew the real fight, the fight for the soul of the city, had just begun. Zohran's first move as mayor was an act of pure, arrogant self-gratification. He organized an opulent high society party that cost the city an unprecedented sum. He spent all the money that had been specifically budgeted for immediate, crucial city development, funds intended for school renovations and essential infrastructure repair, on a vulgar display of imported champagne, celebrity bookings, and gold-plated invitations for his cronies. The party was a clear message to the city: I am here to take, not to give. With the development funds wiped out, Zohran moved swiftly to consolidate his power and reward his true backers. He began operating in the shadows, initiating a series of tense, highly secret meetings with the city's most dangerous figures, the leaders of the drug cartels and organized crime mafia. The exchanges were chillingly simple: political protection in exchange for absolute loyalty and, more critically, a cut of their immense profits. Zohran utilized the full extent of his new office to offer the criminal network undeniable relief to run their businesses. Through quiet internal directives, police patrols were mysteriously rerouted away from key industrial zones. Health and safety inspections targeting specific warehouses were suddenly lost, and ancient, obscure zoning laws were rapidly amended to favor properties linked to major trafficking routes. The entire apparatus of city governance was flipped, becoming a facilitator of organized crime. While the city suffered under a new wave of drug-related violence and neglected services, Zohran operated behind a wall of official obfuscation. But I refused to stand by. I knew my fight wasn't over. I established an independent monitoring team, a small, dedicated group of former campaign staff, honest community leaders, and a few ethical local journalists, and began my own deep, methodical investigation into Zohran's every move. The work was painstaking, requiring endless nights fueled by cold coffee and moral outrage. We dug through public expenditure reports, cross-referencing unexplained budget deficits with Zohran's personal financial disclosures. We specifically targeted the bizarre changes in policy, overlaying the new police patrol maps with ownership records of key industrial properties. We were looking for the pattern, the signature of corruption. The breakthrough came when we focused on a massive, $50 million public works contract Zohran had secretly approved, claiming it was for a new city park. My team discovered that the ultimate beneficiary was a shell corporation registered in a different state. After weeks of careful backtracking, we traced the shell corporation's primary shareholder to the cousin of a known, mid-level drug syndicate leader. This paper trail confirmed our greatest fear. We secured definitive, irrefutable evidence. A set of leaked blueprints showing that the public park funding was not going towards landscaping, but was being laundered to construct a highly sophisticated, multi-story chemical processing and drug manufacturing hub in a deserted industrial district. We had proof of criminal conspiracy, signed and approved by the mayor himself. I took the entire comprehensive dossier, the financial records, the police rerouting data, the construction blueprints, and the final shareholder connections to the federal prosecutor's office and the largest, most respected investigative newsroom in the state. I spoke not as a defeated politician, but as a social worker demanding justice for his community. The public reaction was instantaneous and devastating. The news reports, fueled by my detailed evidence, destroyed Zohran's carefully crafted public image. His phony promises were replaced by front-page images of police raiding properties and federal agents freezing his personal assets. The political empire he had built on manipulation and deceit collapsed with shocking speed. Zohran Mamdani was arrested and charged with massive fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy. His downfall was a spectacle of humiliating public failure. The city council, facing immense public pressure and scandal, had no choice but to immediately schedule a new, special election to replace the disgraced former mayor. This time, the people didn't vote based on promises of hope. They voted on proof of integrity. They voted for the man who had done the hard, dangerous work, who had risked his entire future to expose the corruption and fight for their future. The community rallied, and with overwhelming popular support, I became the new mayor of the city, a victory earned not through a cynical promise, but through vindicated moral action. The ultimate conclusion was the reform that followed. As mayor, I systematically dismantled Zohran's corrupt network, restored the stolen development funds, and initiated the difficult, necessary process of rebuilding the city's trust. The principled reformer had defeated the king of corruption, and for the first time in years, the city finally had a leader who fought for its people, not its cash reserves.